March 29th, 2020. And we're live. So everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. We're broadcasting on my Facebook fan page, The African History Network, my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Also on Periscope, the AHN show on Periscope and Twitter, and Michael Imhotep, my personal Facebook page. All right, so I wanted to do an update on the broadcast I did March 27, 2020. We know the $2 trillion stimulus bill has been signed into law by Donald Trump, passed the U.S. Senate early Thursday morning, passed the U.S. House of Representatives Friday. So I did a broadcast, actually two of them, one dealing with the stimulus bill and what's in it, another one dealing with how to get the $1,200 stimulus check that's going to go to about 150 million households will get a stimulus check, and answering your questions, who qualifies, etc., unemployment insurance, and what else is in the bill, how to take advantage of it. There's about $370 billion for small businesses, etc. So this is an update to the second broadcast I did to answer more of your questions. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of research, been on irs.gov, reading a lot of articles. Okay, so hope everybody's doing well. Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network also. Okay, email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, and we'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. All right, so I want to do a quick update on what's been going on with the coronavirus, all right, and the spread of it. So let's look at the updates from Washington Post, and then we'll get into the $2 trillion bill. All right, so on Saturday, March 28th, as confirmed, U.S. coronavirus-related deaths doubled in 2 days, hitting 2,000 on Saturday, March 28th. Saturday night, Donald Trump signed an executive order for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for FEMA to 100% fund emergency activities in response to COVID-19. Okay, for FEMA to 100% fund emergency activities in response to COVID-19. Now, the executive order for Florida, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and the U.S. territories, Guam and Puerto Rico, applies to the deployment of the National Guard under state control and refers to emergency measures, quote, associated with preventing, mitigating, and responding to the threat to public health and safety posted by the virus, end quote. Some other updates: hours after announcing Saturday that he was considering federally enforced quarantine, a federally enforced quarantine of the state of New York and parts of New Jersey and Connecticut, Donald Trump backed off the idea but said he had asked for a strong travel advisory. Okay, now he didn't have the authority to do that, and people around him probably told him you don't have the legal authority to do that, so he backed off of it. This is Donald Trump just trying to sell wolf tickets. His mouth writing the check, his behind can't cash. That's basically what it boils down to. Okay, and Lawrence Tribe was interviewed on MSNBC. I think it was Joanne Reed that interviewed Harvard Law professor and constitutional law expert Lawrence Tribe on MSNBC Saturday, March 28th, on the PM edition of AM Joy, and he said Trump doesn't have the legal authority to do that. All right, so later, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, urged residents of the 3 states to refrain from non-essential domestic travel for 14 days starting immediately. Okay, for those New York, the state of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Now, the CDC issued a health advisory on Saturday warning against use of non-pharmaceutical uh, uh, chlor- chloroquine phosphate, and hydroxychloroquine. Okay, the CDC warned against use of these two chemicals for non-pharmaceutical usage. Also, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo anticipates the coronavirus outbreak in the state of New York will reach its apex in 14 to 21 days based on health and science data projections. He said during a news conference Saturday, he said this during a news conference on Saturday. I watch his news conferences every day. They're much better than the ones Donald Trump is doing. New York is the hardest hit state in the United States so far, with more than 52,000 confirmed cases and at least 728 deaths. All right. Washington Post has really good updates, live updates dealing with coronavirus. Also, NBCNews.com has those as well. How's everybody doing on YouTube? Renee, Smokehouse. How's everybody doing? Okay, let's do a quick look at Johns Hopkins University. Let's get a view of coronavirus worldwide and also throughout the U.S. So we see worldwide we have over 660,000 confirmed cases worldwide. There's also a little more than 140,000 confirmed cases of people who have totally recovered. So worldwide, 664,000 confirmed cases. And then also worldwide, we have 140,000 confirmed cases of people who have recovered. And let me see if I can bring that up here. So now, if we look at the U.S., in the U.S. we have, a little more than 124,000 confirmed cases in the U.S. And then we have, in the U.S. we have almost 1,100 confirmed cases of recovery. Okay, there's a big discrepancy there. All right, let's bring this up here. Let's bring up the screen share. Okay, so this is worldwide. This is Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins probably has the best reporting on this. All right, so total confirmed, upper left-hand corner, total confirmed 664,000. You can it goes through and breaks it down by country as well. Okay, so you can look at the number of cases per country, but worldwide 664,924. Okay, and then we see that there is 140,000 reported cases of people recovering worldwide. If we look at the U.S., we see that we're looking at 124,000 cases reported in the U.S. Total deaths in the U.S. Basically doubled. It went to 2,000 on Saturday, and then now it's at 2,191 total deaths. But if we look at total recovered in the U.S., is 1,095, right at 1,100. Only about really less than 1% of the total confirmed cases in the U.S. have totally recovered, a little less than 1%. Whereas when you look at it worldwide is about 21% of the total reported cases have actually recovered. Okay, so we need to find out why is that. That's a huge discrepancy between worldwide 21% of reported cases fully recovering, but in the U.S. a little less than 1%. Okay, so remember where you heard that first. Okay, so let's continue. So let's look at what happened Thursday and Friday with the passing of this bill. Then we're going to get into, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what's in the bill. It's a $2.2 trillion bill. And then we'll deal with how to get the $1,200 stimulus check, what you need to do, what you need to do if you haven't filed in the past couple of years. We'll talk about there's a lot of good stuff in this bill. Okay. And, I saw Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez I saw her on the U.S. House of Representatives floor on Friday, and she was really talking about how bad the bill was, and actually the reporting from the Washington Post on Thursday was she was contemplating voting against it. I think she was largely talking about the original bill that the Republicans in the Senate had proposed. The original bill was horrible. Okay. Senate Democrats really pushed to get a lot more put into that bill to benefit the everyday American. And so the bill that was actually signed into law is much better and benefits the everyday American much more than the original bill that was proposed. Okay, and keep in mind, the House of Representatives largely did not write this bill. This bill was written by the Senate largely, and Senate Democrats pushed to get more in it. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House of Representatives, pushed to get more in it to help everyday Americans. But in general, this was a bill written by the Senate. Okay, and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin negotiated on behalf of the White House. They kept Donald Trump out of this, which was good because he doesn't know how to negotiate a deal. All right, so Donald Trump on Friday, March 27th, 2020, signed a massive $2 trillion bill, emergency spending bill, into law, promising to deliver a tidal wave of cash to individual Americans, businesses, and healthcare facilities, all reeling from the coronavirus pandemic. Now, his signature came just hours after the House of Representatives passed the massive package by an overwhelming voice vote. Okay, an overwhelming voice vote. And if you watch the broadcast I did March 27th, I gave some background information and how Representative Thomas Massey of Kentucky tried to grandstand and really tried to block the bill. Okay, but it didn't work. Okay, so this was less than 48 hours after it received unanimous approval from the U.S. Senate. The U.S. Senate voted Thursday morning, a little before 2 a.m. It was a vote 96-0, overwhelming support in the U.S. Senate. Donald Trump, at a signing ceremony at the Oval Office, where he only invited Republicans to sign the bill, it didn't invite any Democrats. He said this will deliver urgently needed relief to our nation's families, workers, and businesses, and that's what this is all about. Now, tensions between the White House and Congress over how the law will be implemented became immediately apparent. In a signing statement, and just 1 second here, I'm bringing something up here. In a signing statement, Trump wrote that he would not permit a new inspector general to issue certain reports to Congress, quote, without presidential supervision, end quote. Democrats insisted on the creation of the new inspector general in order to make sure the White House did not improperly disperse taxpayer money. So keep in mind, this is an almost 900-page bill. The White House is still learning all this in this bill. Congress is still learning all this in this bill. Okay, most U.S. senators have not read the entire bill. Different senators wrote different parts of this bill. This bill is almost 900 pages. And those in the House of Representatives, in general, know less about what is in this bill as far as reading the entire bill. Okay, they read a summary, but reading the entire bill. It was the U.S. Senate that basically wrote this bill, not the House of Representatives. All right, so this legislation, which passed the U.S. Senate shortly before 2 a.m. Thursday morning, March 26, 2020, would send checks to more than 150 million American households, set up enormous loan programs for businesses large and small. And the loans for small businesses with 500 employees or less, if they keep employees, don't lay off any employees and meet some other thresholds, those loans become grants and they don't have to pay back those loans. That's huge for small businesses, including African American owned businesses. It will pump billions of dollars into unemployment insurance programs, greatly boost spending on hospitals and much more. So also this past week, Thursday, March 26, 2020, Thursday morning, we saw the Department of Labor release the unemployment numbers for the previous week. So a record 3.3 million Americans, applied for unemployment benefits the week of March 16th. The Labor Department reported Thursday morning, March 26th, as restaurants, hotels, and barbershops, gyms, and more shut down in a nationwide effort to slow the spread of the deadly coronavirus. Now, what we're going to see is that this is going to continue. You're going to see the next 2 or 3 weeks. You're going to see a lot more people apply for unemployment, especially as governors in Republican states who have not already called for a stay in or shelter in or something like that, as they're forced to do this as coronavirus spreads in their states, and they're forced to have a stay in and then shut down non-essential businesses. You're going to see this skyrocket, the unemployment numbers and the number of people filing for unemployment insurance. So the U.S. unemployment rate has likely risen to 5.5% already, a level not seen since 2015. That was reported by Washington Post. So the week of March 16 saw the biggest jump in new jobless claims in history, surpassing the record of 695,000 jobless claims set in 1982. Many economists say this is the beginning of a massive spike in unemployment that could result in over 40 million Americans losing their jobs by April of 2020. It could result in over 40 million Americans losing their jobs by April 2020. Now, laid off workers said they waited for hours on the phone to apply for help. Websites in several states, including the state of New York and Oregon, crashed because so many people were trying to apply at one time. The most terrifying part about this is this is likely just the beginning of the layoffs, said Martha Gimbel, Gimbel, a labor economist at Schmidt Futures. Now, Congress has already passed 2 smaller coronavirus relief bills. You heard me talk about this. First, there was the $8.3 billion emergency supplemental package for the healthcare system. And then there was the $100 billion plus bill to boost paid sick leave and unemployment insurance and provide free coronavirus testing. All right. So for more information on this, check out articles. We'll post the links here. Washington Post: Trump signs $2 trillion coronavirus bill into law as companies and households brace for more economic pain. NBCnews.com: Trump signs $2 trillion coronavirus stimulus bill. Washington Post: House leaders seek to expedite emergency aid package amid uncertainty about GOP lawmaker delaying measure. Now, the other thing that's important to note is this $2.2 trillion bill, that didn't stop the Dow Jones Industrial Average from dropping again on Friday. Okay? Friday, March 27th. Stocks plunged despite passage of $2 trillion economic relief package. That's NBCnews.com. Read that article. It dropped. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped it was about 930 points actually that it dropped. So look out for that. And you're going to see it drop more. As more of these unemployment claims are made, you're going to see it drop some more as well. Okay? So check those out. We'll post the links here for you. All right, so let me just give you a quick overview of what's in this bill. This is a $2.2 trillion bill. It's a lot in here. Let's look at Washington Post, March 26, 2020. What's in the $2.2 trillion coronavirus Senate stimulus package? What's in the $2.2 trillion coronavirus Senate stimulus package? Okay, let me post this link here from NBC. If you have any questions, post them here. Yeah, this bill is almost 900 pages. Darlene said, why didn't the bill include 18 to 24-year-old young adults to receive checks? They can receive checks if they file their tax on their tax return if they file as an independent. if their parents claim them as a dependent, like if they're college students, if their parents claim them as a dependent, then they don't get the stimulus check. But if they file, if 18 or 24-year-olds file their tax return as independent, they do get it. Okay, so very quickly here, for some of you all, this is repetitive. You've heard it before. Others, this may be new information. All right, so first there was you have $1,200 checks for millions of Americans. That totals $290 billion. Okay, to cover the cost of that. And then also you get an additional $500 for each child that's a dependent. I'm gonna give you more information on that. We have an increase in unemployment insurance benefits. Increase in unemployment insurance benefits. $260 billion for that. There's some really good information dealing with that because if you file for unemployment, if you get unemployment, you get an extra $600 a week from the federal government for up to 4 months. Then aid to large businesses. And there's new oversight. There are new oversight measures for aid to large businesses, including prohibiting Donald Trump, his children, his family members, and members of Congress who are part owners of businesses or fully owners of businesses to take advantage of these loans and things like this. They're prohibited from doing that. That's good. So when it comes to aid to large businesses, and there's new oversight measures dealing with that, there's $504 billion for aid to large businesses. One of the oversights is cruise lines that are not headquartered in the U.S., therefore they don't pay taxes to the U.S. They're headquartered like in Liberia, for like at least one of them. They don't qualify for this. If they're not headquartered in the U.S., they don't qualify to take advantage of these loans. Then there's the emergency aid for small businesses. Emergency aid for small businesses. These are businesses with under 500 employees. Okay, $377 billion for aid for small businesses. Okay, and these are loans that could be forgiven if the firms follow certain conditions, such as not firing their workers. That portion of the bill was written by Senate Republican Marco Rubio of Florida. All right, with significant input from congressional Democrats, by the way. Okay, then we have business tax cuts deferrals. Business tax cuts deferrals. There's $280 billion in the bill for that. Hospitals and expanded healthcare spending. Hospitals and expanded healthcare spending. $180 billion for hospitals and expanded healthcare spending. The legislation also includes hundreds of billions of dollars in funding to help prepare Americans' healthcare infrastructure for coronavirus, for the influx of patients who are going to come, who have to be hospitalized, stay in ICU units, ICU beds, etc. Now also as part of the next part, emergency aid for state and local governments. Emergency aid for state and local governments. States are expected to be hammered by the economic crunch, both with rising costs as people seek additional public assistance and lower tax revenue because of falling business activity. The federal aid package provides $150 billion to state and local governments, including $8 billion for tribal governments. Okay, so for like Native American tribes, Native American nations, $8 billion for tribal governments. Each state will receive a minimum of $1.5 billion. Experts say Washington, D.C. received a disproportionately small amount of money based on its population because it was grouped for funding with U.S. territories. U.S. territories get funding as well. Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, things like this. The package also includes $25 billion in infrastructure grants for states around the country. This is a $900 billion, this is an almost 900-page bill. So as more information comes out, I'll be giving more updates on this. There's a lot in here that African American owned businesses, etc., can take advantage of also. All right, now, so for emergency aid for state and local governments, the total, that's $175 billion for that. Other items in the package include $45 billion for FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency's Disaster Relief Fund, $31 billion to support schools and colleges, including $13 million for Howard University, because Howard University also has a hospital. Okay, $25 billion for the nation's transit systems, and $25 billion for more food stamp funding, SNAP. Okay, things like that. All right, so check out this article. We'll post the link here. We'll put the links in the description of the video, of the broadcast. What's in the $2.2 trillion coronavirus Senate stimulus package? What's in the $2.2 trillion coronavirus stimulus package? Okay, so check that out. All right, that's from Washington Post. All right, so we see that what people are talking most about is, and let me post this right here. Just 1 second here. Okay, so what people are talking most about is $1,200 per adult. I'm gonna give you a breakdown on that. Okay, so distribution will come via the IRS, which will use the 2019 taxpayer forms, to determine how much a person's check should be and where the check should be sent. If 2019, so 2019 tax returns, that's what people are, that's what you're turning in this year, or people are working on right now. Okay, the deadline to file has been extended to July 15th, 2020. That's the deadline to file. Okay, just so people understand. Now, so distributions will come via the IRS, which will use 2019 taxpayer forms to determine how much of a person's check should be, and how much a person's check should be and where the check should be sent. If 2019 taxes have not yet been filed, the IRS will use information from the taxpayer's 2018 tax form. Okay, now if you have a change of address or something like that, I'm gonna give you some information. You want to update that information with the IRS right away. If there's a change of address you need to do, or if you need to update your bank account information for direct deposit or something like that, I'm gonna give you the forms. I'll give you the names of the forms. They are at irs.gov. I'll give you the names of the forms so you can go ahead and submit those to get those updated. Now, a lot of people ask, well, how soon will the checks go out? Now, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said on Wednesday and Thursday that checks will start going out in 3 weeks. That's very ambitious, and experts are saying that's very ambitious. Don't just. I don't think it's going to be that soon. Hopefully, I don't think it's going to be that soon for a number of reasons. Okay, one, you're dealing with the federal government. Two, a lot of this stuff they're figuring out as they go along. Just to be honest with you, a lot of this stuff they're figuring out as they go along. Okay, three, this is all operating based upon the premise that IRS employees don't get sick with coronavirus, and then others have to be quarantined, and you have you have a shortage of IRS employees. This is operating based upon that premise that none of them are really going to get sick. Okay, so if you haven't filed taxes yet for one of those years, now is a good time to file. All right, now this step is especially important for low-income citizens who don't typically file taxes. In that case, they still need to file a form. Individuals receiving non-taxable income, such as Social Security, will still receive a check. Social Security, disability, if you're a veteran, you'll still receive a check. All right. Now, it's not necessary to download special software or use a tax preparer unless you want to use a tax preparer. The IRS has two paths for free filing options. Those making under $69,000, okay, down to zero, under $69,000 a year down to zero, and those making above $69,000. Both can be found at irs.gov. Okay, they have the information there. And actually, let me see here. We've got They have a special page also. If you go to irs.gov/coronavirus, they have a special landing page here. I'm on the page right now. Now, some of this information still has to be updated. That's the other thing. As the White House, Congress really see what's in the full 900-page bill, this stuff has to be updated on the IRS website. So we're waiting on updates, okay? All right, now, individuals, how's everybody doing on YouTube? Darlene and Rut, W. Canty, Renee, just a few people watching on YouTube. Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Also, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network. $, the AHN Show through Cash App. $, the AHN Show through Cash App, or paypal.me/the AHN Show through PayPal. Okay, that helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, finance our Sunday night show, finance the research, pay the bills, etc. Okay, so if you want to donate $5, $10, $15, $25, $100, whatever it is, that definitely helps support what we do. And then also you can go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click on the yellow donate button. You can donate there through PayPal, and my DVD lectures and digital downloads are at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, so for the $1,200 stimulus check, all right, individuals making up to $75,000 a year will receive a $1,200 check, a one-time $1,200 check, with an additional check for each child, an additional check of $500 for each child who's a dependent. The payments progressively decrease for individuals making more than $75,000 with an income cap of $99,000. Okay, I'll give you more information on that. So, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said that Americans should start seeing checks in 3 weeks. By comparison, the IRS took 3 months to distribute checks in 2009 to battle the Great Recession. One of the ways that you can speed up your check is having them do direct deposit as opposed to mailing a check to you. Okay, I'm going to give you the information on direct deposit in just a minute if you have to change something. Okay, some experts say that due to budget cuts and obsolete technology, the IRS will need months, not weeks, to send out payments. All right, and I'm going to do another broadcast sometime this week dealing with maybe jobs people can do, jobs people can get, maybe businesses people can start or something like that while they wait on these checks from the government. Okay, what do you do while you wait on your check from the government? Okay. All right, so now Howard Gleckman, Gleckman, is a senior analyst at the Urban Institute's Tax Policy Center. He told Reuters.com, the publication Reuters.com, he said, quote, "I don't think any of the policy makers have given any thought to the practical implications of actually doing this. I don't think any of the policymakers have given any thought to the practical implications of actually doing this. The IRS does not have the resources to do it." Okay, and I somewhat agree with that, because a lot of people, you have a lot who may mean well, okay, but it's entirely different to actually do this and get these checks out to 150 million households. That's and you're gonna start sending these out in 3 weeks. And people are trying to, and I'm right here on irs.gov, and they still don't have the information. So, we'll see. Okay. The check is in the mail. It's coming. It's just a matter how soon it's going to get there. All right. So, those people who are planning on receiving a paper check, if you were planning on receiving a paper check for whatever reason, and have moved since filing their last tax return, they should submit a change of address form now, because the change of address form normally takes 4 to 6 weeks to be processed. Okay, that's form 8822 at irs.gov. Form 8822 at irs.gov. If you go to irs.gov, you can search for maybe change of address form. Okay, but the form is 8822 if you have to change your address. All right, if you've moved since the last time you filed taxes. Now, taxpayers can get their checks a little faster if they sign up for direct deposit with the IRS. Okay, to sign up for direct deposit or to change your bank account, that's IRS form 8888. It's called allocation of refund. Allocation of refund is IRS form 8888. Okay, and you can find it at irs.gov as well. In order to register for direct deposit, people should indicate it as the refund method on their tax form. To change a bank account or routing number for the deposit, so they give a number here to call the IRS to do it. You can also do it online. Maybe if you don't have access to the internet, the phone number is 1-800-829-1040. 1-800-829-1040. That's the phone number to the IRS. Okay, if you have access to the internet and you can go online, you can get tax form 8888. You can change your bank account number. You can determine whether you want the refund or the refund in a check or whatever it is you want. Okay, that'll also apply to the stimulus check for that form. Now the IRS has set up a special coronavirus landing page on its website. I'm on it right now, which it will update as more information becomes available. I'm waiting on information. I'm on the website a few times a day, and I'm still waiting. Now, currently, the web page says stimulus payment checks. No information available yet. No sign up needed. Instead of calling, please check back for updates. Okay. Now, per the bill, this almost 900-page bill, it says, quote, for the vast majority of Americans, no action on their part will be required in order to receive a rebate check. This includes many low-income individuals who file a tax return in order to take advantage of the refundable earned income tax credit and child tax credit. And let me see, do we have it pulled up here? Which one is this one? Just a second. We've got a bunch of articles here. Okay. Now, for those who have already filed for 2018 and 2019 taxes, the tax years 2018, 2019, and whose information is up to date and accurate, there's nothing you need to do in addition to get the $1,200 check, and also for dependents as well. Okay. All right. Check out the article from NBCnews.com. Stimulus checks are coming. Here's how to make sure you get yours quickly. Stimulus checks are coming. Here's how to make sure you get yours quickly. All right, just a minute. So let's go through and answer some more of these questions that people were asking. Just a minute here. All right. How's everybody doing? Let me see if you have any questions. Okay. How you doing? TT Hill said thanks for the breakdown. Pretty to you. Okay, how you doing? Thanks for sharing. No problem. No problem. There's a lot of work. All right, let's keep going, because you notice the content that I have. I don't have all this Gail, Oprah, Jada Pinkett Smith, Snoop Dogg, all that stuff, right? You notice that, right? Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, so coronavirus checks, direct deposits are coming. Here's everything you need to know. I looked at a number of different sources, and I've been on the IRS website, so we're going to answer some more of your questions here. Okay, so a lot of people are asking, how much will I get? All right, if you made $75,000 or less in 2019, based upon in 2019, and the tax returns that people are filing now is for what you made in year 2019. If you made $75,000 or less in 2019, you'll be eligible for the full payment of $1,200. Okay, now this is a one-time payment of $100. Democrats, especially those in Congress and the House of Representatives, were fighting for up to four payments, one each month. But this bill, keep in mind, Republicans control the U.S. Senate. There are 53 Republicans in the U.S. Senate, 45 Democrats, and 2 independents, for a total of 47. All right, this is example how elections have consequences. This bill would have been a whole lot worse if people didn't go out in November 2018 and vote to take back the House of Representatives for Democrats, because the Democrats in the House were pushing also to get a lot more in this bill for everyday people. Okay, so couples who filed jointly and made less than $150,000 will get $2,400. Couples who filed jointly and made less than $150,000 will get $2,400. An individual who filed as head of household and earned $112,500 or less gets $1,200. An individual who filed as head of household and earned $112,500 or less gets $1,200. Now, for every child in the household, you will receive an additional $500 for every child. Okay. Now, if you made more than $75,000, okay, your payment will be reduced by $5 for every $100 of income that exceeds the limit. So for example, if you made $80,000 in 2019, you will receive a check for $950. The payment, that's for an individual. Okay, the payment decreases to $0 for an individual making $99,000 or more, or a couple making $198,000 or more. All right. Now, if you, for example, are a family of 4, you'll be eligible for a maximum of $3,400. So I'll encourage people to do this. Figure out how much you're going to get. Figure out how it's going to be allocated. Because the worst thing that can happen, if you're a family of 4, you get $3,400. Worst thing that can happen is you don't already map out how the money should be allocated. You take it and then blow half of it or blow a lot of it, and then you're really in trouble. Okay? So you want to figure out how much you're getting now so you can map out where it needs to go as soon as you get it. When is the money coming? Okay, so we already talked about that. Steve Mnuchin said, and they'll start sending them out in 3 weeks. I said, don't hold your breath on that one. Will there be multiple payments? No, this legislation only authorizes one-time payments. Now, Nancy Pelosi, she was interviewed by Rachel Maddow Friday, March 27th on the Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC. She talked about how, now this was the 3rd stimulus bill, and she said they're already working on the 4th bill. There's going to be another bill. They're going to have another bill because you're going to, when these Republican governors start catching up to the Democratic governors and start having to shut down a lot of non-essential businesses and things like this, the number of unemployed people is going to skyrocket. We haven't gotten through the worst part yet. In these different states, even in the state of New York, where they have the most number of deaths and the most number of cases out of states, they have not reached their peak in the curve. That's about 14 to 21 days ahead. That's about 14 to 21 days away. So there's going to have to be a 4th bill to deal with this. All right. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi suggested when she was interviewed on CNN last week that Congress could revisit the issue. She said, quote, "We think we'll get more direct payments in another bill," end quote. But she was interviewed Friday, March 27th. You can go to msnbc.com and see that she was interviewed by Rachel Maddow. There's going to be another bill. All right. So a lot of people ask, where do I sign up? You don't have to sign up. There's no sign up. The payments will be automatic for people who have filed a tax return or who have received Social Security benefits recently. The IRS asks people not to call with questions, but to keep checking the website, irs.gov, and then also irs.gov/coronavirus, where they will post updates about the program once they are available. Okay, now I guess if you don't have internet access, then you have to call. All right, now how will the money be sent? Okay, this is a question people ask. How will the money be sent? If you have received a tax refund in the last 2 years by direct deposit into your bank account, that's where the money will be sent. Okay. If not, the IRS can mail a check to your last known address, and it has 15 days to notify you of the method and amount of the payment. Okay. If not, the IRS can mail a check to your last known address, and it has 15 days to notify you of the method and amount of the payment. Now, they'll send a phone number and appropriate point of contact so you can tell them if you did not receive the check. If you've moved recently, it may be a good idea to notify the IRS as soon as possible. Yeah, you want to notify them as soon as possible if you've moved recently, and also you want to file the change of address form. That's form 8822 at irs.gov. That's the change of address form. All right, now, how does the government calculate how much I have earned? How does the government calculate how much you have earned? Okay. If you filed your tax return for 2019, okay, so this year you filed for what you made in 2019. If you did, the checks will automatically be based on your 2019 return. Look for your adjusted gross income, which is line 7 of your 1040 tax form. Okay, and in the 2018 tax form, it's line 8B. It's line 7 on the 2018 tax form, the 1040 tax form, line 7. And on the 2019 tax return is line 8B. Line 8B on the 2019 tax return. That gives you your adjusted gross income. Now, if you have not filed your 2019 taxes yet, it will be based upon your 2018 tax return. All right? In 2018 tax return is line 7. So, what if you're on Social Security? Okay, I got this question. If you're on Social Security and don't make enough to file a tax return, will you still get a check? The answer is yes. Even if you did not file a tax return for 2018 or 2019, or pay taxes in those years, you will be eligible if you received a Form SSA 1099 for the year 2019. If you received a Form SSA 1099 for the year 2019. That's a form that the Social Security Administration sends each year to people who receive Social Security benefits, including retirement and disability. Okay, so if you are a disabled veteran but don't pay taxes, do you qualify? Do you get a stimulus check? Yes, you do. Although some of the details still need to be worked out. The IRS is expected to set up a system so that disabled veterans don't fall through the cracks. The White House is still trying to figure out what's in this bill. Okay? The White House is still trying to figure it out. Congress is still trying to figure out the totality of the bill. Like I said, senators wrote different sections of this bill. Okay? I'm not sure any of the senators have read the entire almost 900-page bill now. You know, maybe by the end of the week they would have, but I don't know. College students. Do college students get a check? Okay, and somebody asked about 18 to 24. If your parents claim you as a dependent on their tax returns, you are not eligible. You will not get a check if they claim you as a dependent on their tax returns. But if you've been working and filing taxes independently in recent years, you may qualify. And if we look at NBCNews.com, not NBC, New York Times. New York Times had good information. They have a frequently asked question on stimulus checks, unemployment, and the coronavirus plan. If we look at students, because I looked at this and I looked at a number of different sources, and I've been on the IRS website also. Let's see. Where is that? Okay. Do college students get anything? Not if anyone claims them as a dependent on a tax return. Usually students under age 24 are dependents in the eyes of the taxing authorities if a parent pays for at least half of their expenses. Okay? So if you're a college student, your parents don't claim you as a dependent, you file your taxes independently, then you'll get a check. As long as you meet the income requirements. Okay, as long as you don't make over $75,000 a year. If you make 75 or under, you get $1,200. Okay, and if you're a college student, you file independently, and you have children that you claim as dependents, you get $500 for each one of those children also. All right, let's continue. So, what if you made too much in 2019 to qualify, but now you've been laid off? Okay? What if you made, and this may apply to a lot of people, okay? In 2019, you make a lot of money, but now the governors had to shut down, or maybe maybe the company you worked for went out of business, okay? So now you're laid off. What happened? What happens, okay? Are you out of luck? Not necessarily, but we'll have to wait and see. If you made too much to qualify in your last tax filing, you probably won't be eligible for the cash benefit immediately, but you can apply for it when you file your 2020 tax return if your income drops below $99,000, below the $99,000 threshold for individuals, which doubles for couples this year. The IRS is expected to create a system to ensure help for people who fall into this category. So we're still waiting on updates for some of this stuff. Okay? I told you, Trump administration is figuring this out as they go along. So, I mean, this is an example of how elections have consequences. New York Times asked the question, what if my recent income made me ineligible, but I anticipate being eligible because of loss of income in this year 2020? Do I get a payment? The plan does not help people in that circumstance now, but you may benefit once you file your 2020 taxes. That's because the payment is technically an advance on a tax credit that is available for the entire year. So it will depend on how much you earn. And there are many other provisions in the legislation. You may be able to file for unemployment or for one of the new loans for small business owners or sole proprietors. Okay, so this is something that I'm going to check on. Because I can only do so much at one time, on one person. But this is something I want to investigate. I was looking at information for small business owners, people that have under 500 employees, right? Because those loans, and we have to get the rest of the criteria for the loans, things like that. But if you meet the criteria and don't lay off employees, those loans become grants and you don't pay them back. That's free money. That's huge for African American business owners who do have employees. Now we know that about 4 million African American businesses as of 2019, 2020. About only maybe about 100,000 or so have employees. However, I want to find this out. This is something that I want to research. If you, number one, based upon tax law for businesses, right? You can hire one of your children to work in your business. Say you have a 16-year-old. You can hire your child to work in your business, okay? But also, this is if you have a brick and mortar store. This is if you have a brick and mortar store. There's some things I have to find out if you just have a home business, okay? How does this apply to people, like the loans for businesses, things like this? How does it apply to people who just have a home business compared to people who have a brick and mortar store? But hypothetically, if you have a brick and mortar store, you have a 16-year-old child, okay? If you meet the income requirements, you make under $75,000 a year, right? You get a $1,200 stimulus check, but you also get $500 for that child. But if you have a business, a brick and mortar store, if you hire your children, maybe you have a 16 and 17-year-old, and you hire your children, um, how does that impact the loans? Because now, if you hire your children, okay, you're a small business, you have less than 500 employees. Can you so to speak double dip? Can you get the $500? You follow where I'm going with this? Can you get the $500 tax credit on this side for your child, then also have your child work for you in your business, which will help you qualify for a business loan? And as long as you meet requirements and don't lay off your children, it'll turn into a grant. This is something I want to investigate, because this is how white people think. I'm telling you right now, this is how white people think. White people mainly wrote this. This is how white people think. I know, because I went to college with them. So this is game that a whole lot of people ain't gonna talk about. This is how white people think. So this is something I want to investigate. Now, they talk about, the one in New York Times talks about sole proprietors. This is something I want to investigate, because that's the only one I saw that talked about sole proprietors. If there's if sole proprietors can get loans, okay, then this opens it up for a lot of African American owned businesses. That's something else I'm investigating. Okay, just one thing at a time, because more details are coming out every day on this. But here's the thing, page 2, because this one from New York Times is 12 pages. The question was asked, what if my recent income made me ineligible, but I anticipate being eligible because of a loss of income in 2020? Do I get a repayment? All right. And then page 3, the answer to page 3. So the second part of the answer is, and there are many other provisions in the legislation. You may be able to file for unemployment or for one of the new loans for small business owners or sole proprietors. Because if there are business loans, listen to me, if there are business loans in here for sole proprietors, then that's like 95% of black business owners. So that's something I'm going to investigate. Watch out for another video dealing with that, because that is huge. Okay, see, I'm telling you, there's a lot in here for everyday Americans. Democrats fought. I'm neither Democrat nor Republican, but I look at whose policies are best for us at a federal level. I'm not talking about in the city. And I look at who's blocking that stuff. Okay? And Democrats' policies in general, at a national level, federal level, are usually much better than Republicans, and usually Republicans who are blocking a lot of these things, as well as using various voter suppression tactics to suppress the African American vote. Okay, so let's continue here. Okay, LLC, sole proprietor. Okay, now when they say sole proprietor, so I want to find out. So LLC is usually when we talk about sole proprietors, we talk about a DBA, doing business as, right? So it's just one owner, probably doesn't have employees, and the DBA, you get that from the city, from City Hall. LLC you get from the state. You go to the state website, you fill out the form, LLC. You can just be one owner. You can just be one person, but it's the way that business is structured, and also for legal purposes. Okay. I want to get more clarification on this. When they say sole proprietor, they're talking about LLC and DBA, or just DBA. Okay. But they say sole proprietor, so it could be both. It could be LLC, limited liability company, and it's just one owner and no employees, 0 employees. Or it can be DBA and a person filed at City Hall. But this is the first time I've seen them talk about sole proprietors. If that covers sole proprietors, that's huge. So I think it does. That'd be huge. That's a real game changer right there. Okay, so let's continue here. Okay, Social Security. Let's go. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast. Let's see. We got Tony BOP, LBZ. Hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button if you like this type of information. Follow us on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. That's me if you haven't figured it out. I'm the founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. Turn on live notifications so you know when we go live. Also follow me on my YouTube channel, follow me on my Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Okay, Crew, the producer, said if you make monthly child support payments and are current but owe arrears, will they deny you? Okay, if you make your current payments, okay, if you make your current payments but there's rearage, you'll still get a check. There, as long as you make it, you have payments set up and you make your payments, you'll still get a check. There was a question from NBC News. Thanks for asking that. There was a question from NBC News that dealt with this. Let's pull this up on the other. Let's pull this up over here. It was dealing with child support. Let me see. There's a question that came up about that. This is from the stimulus check won't be in the mail for Americans who owe child support. Now, what they're talking about is let's see. The coronavirus relief bill enacted Friday includes direct cash payments to help people through the crisis, but one red flag that can cost otherwise eligible Americans money is owing past due child support. I think that's what it is. Or let me look at this. Owing back taxes or other debt to the government is not a problem, according to Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, the chairman of the Finance Committee and a key author of the bill. The legislation, he said, quote, turns off nearly all administrative offsets that ordinarily may reduce tax refunds for individuals who have past tax debts or who are behind on other payments to federal or state governments, including student loan payments, Grassley wrote in a Medium.com post. The only administrative offset that will be enforced applies to those who have past due child support payments that the states have reported to the Treasury Department, he can continue. In other words, Americans who are overdue on child support could see their cash payments reduced or eliminated. Under a 1996 law, the Treasury Department operates a program that allows it to collect overdue child support by cutting or withholding federal payments as an offset. State child support agencies share information with Treasury about people who are behind on payments and the amounts. The bill passed by Congress was signed into law on Friday by Trump. The Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has said checks would be 3 weeks. The cash. Okay. Now, what it doesn't say here is if you have payment arrangements set up and you are making your payments, but you are still behind. That doesn't. So it doesn't say in that situation you don't get it. So more information is coming out. Read this. Maybe the article will be updated. And I'm telling you right now, all the senators don't know what's in this bill. Okay, I'm telling you right now. But we're gonna post this right here. Read that. Okay, what this article does not address is a situation where you're behind on child support, but you have payments set up and you are making your payments. It doesn't say in that situation that your check will be taken. Your check will be garnished. It doesn't say in that situation you won't get a check. Okay, so the question you ask, your situation is different. So we'll have to see. But read that article. I just posted a link here. Check that out, and we'll have to see. Okay, T-Land. Okay, how you doing, T-Land? All right, let's continue here. Let's see, where are we? And then I'll get into unemployment insurance because there's a lot in here for people who are unemployed as well. Okay, so disabled veterans. Okay, I'm a disabled vet, but don't pay taxes. Do I qualify? Yes, although some of the details still need to be worked out. The IRS is expected to set up a system so that disabled veterans don't fall through the cracks. Now, let's see. Okay. If you're not an American citizen, do you qualify? Meaning, you're here. I'm not talking about undocumented immigrants, like white undocumented immigrants. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are here legally. They have an H-1B visa, H-2A visa. Okay. If you're not an American citizen, do you qualify? Yes, you do, as long as you're living and working in the U.S. with a valid Social Security number. That includes green card holders, and it generally includes those on work visas such as H-1B work visas and H-2A work visas. But it generally excludes visitors, people just visiting, they're on vacation, things like this, in the U.S. And it also excludes people who are in the U.S. illegally. Okay? All right. Now, are the cash payments taxable? This is one of the early questions I got. Are the cash payments taxable? The stimulus checks, $1,200 stimulus check, $500 for each additional child. No, the cash payments are not taxable. Okay, the extra unemployment check that you get of $600 a week, if you qualify for unemployment, you get it from the state. You're going to get an extra $600 a week from the federal government for up to 4 months. That is taxable income. I'll talk about that in a minute. Do you have to pay the money back, the stimulus check? What have you? Do you have to pay the money back? No. The money is not a loan, but a credit. You are not required to pay the government back. Now, if you live in Puerto Rico or another U.S. territory, is that a problem? Not at all. Those are U.S. citizens. U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, those are U.S. territories. They're U.S. citizens also. Donald Trump just found out that he was the president of Puerto Rico. You remember when the hurricane hit, Hurricane Maria, I think it was, in Puerto Rico, and Donald Trump said, I just got off the phone with the president of Puerto Rico. That's you. He didn't know that. He's the president. Those are U.S. citizens. That's a U.S. territory. So there's a special provision ensuring that people living in U.S. territories, even ones that have a different tax system, are still eligible. So they're still eligible. U.S. Virgin Islands, all those black people down in U.S. Virgin Islands, okay, Puerto Rico, they all qualify. Don't tell Trump that. If Trump I guarantee you, Trump finds this out, that the people in Puerto Rico and U.S. Virgin Islands qualify for this, he gonna try some stuff. I guarantee you. Okay. All right. Now, what about people who are homeless? Okay. Or people who just got out of prison. Okay. Will they receive help? As long as you have a Social Security number, you should be eligible to apply for the relief payments under the new system created by the IRS. Now, we'll probably need more information on this. Updates are coming. Okay. But as long as you have a Social Security number, you should be eligible to apply for the relief payments under the new system created by the IRS. Now, what if you owe back taxes? A lot of people ask this question. What if you owe back taxes? Will the IRS take your check? No. Your payment won't be affected if you owe past due taxes to federal or state governments. This is huge for a lot of people. So you want to make sure that the IRS has your accurate information, your current address if you move. If you want a paper check, you choose it. So it's allocation of refund. That's IRS form 8888. That's at irs.gov. IRS form 8888. You can fill that form out. You can let them know in general for tax refunds in general. Paper check, direct deposit to your bank account. You give them your bank account number. And then for change of address, it is form 8822 for change of address. Okay. And that's all at irs.gov. Now, okay. All right, so check that out also. Check that out also. Coronavirus checks, direct deposits are coming. Here's everything you need to know. Okay, that's NBC News, so check that out. Now, unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance. There's a lot in here dealing with unemployment insurance, and here we go. Let's look at this. Unemployment benefits, okay? And they're going to have to do another bill because, like I said, you had 3.3 million people who filed for unemployment in 1 week, and you still have states where the governors have not shut down non-essential businesses. Wait till that happens. Wait till these Republican governors shut down non-essential businesses, and then those people have to file in those states for unemployment. All right. So let's look at some of the questions here. These are some questions that I received also. So if you lose your job, what kind of help can you get? So once you're on unemployment insurance in your state, you go to your state's website, file for unemployment insurance. You don't have internet access. You go to like workforce development, the unemployment office, what have you, and file. Once you're on unemployment insurance in your state, you will be eligible for an extra $600 per week in emergency federal compensation through July 31st, 2020. That is an additional that is in addition to what you'll receive in state benefits. So there's an extra $600 a month for up to 4 months in unemployment payments. That is in addition to what you get from the state. Okay. Do I get that $600? Do I get that $600 I was already getting? If I was already getting unemployment before the outbreak, the answer is yes. If you were already receiving unemployment insurance before the coronavirus really hit, okay, and you still receive unemployment insurance, when this kicks in from the federal government, the $600, you'll get that automatically. If you're working from home, can you get these unemployment benefits? No. People who are employed and working from home aren't eligible. So if you have, I guess if you're working for an employer, they shut down their physical brick and mortar location and have their employees working from home, okay, then in general you don't qualify for the unemployment insurance. You're still working in general. What if you work part-time or had your hours cut? What if you worked part-time or had your hours cut? Now, it depends upon your state. Some states provide benefits to part-time workers, but other states don't. It's a similar situation for those whose hours are cut. The bill provides funding for states that want to provide benefits when companies slash workers' hours without laying them off. But not every state provides these benefits, and it appears the federal government is deferring to them on this. Okay, so it appears the federal government is leaving it up to the states to determine whether or not part-time employees qualify. What if you had just found a job when the coronavirus hits, but you had not started work yet? Okay, are you eligible for unemployment insurance and the extra $600? Okay, the answer is yes. If you were scheduled to start a job but lost the job or are unable to get to it as a result of coronavirus, you'll be eligible. And there is something in here. There's a very important piece of this bill, and this is dealing with unemployment. It's like pandemic unemployment or something like that. I forgot how they actually phrased it. Let me see. Is this the right article? Because it's something new. me see if I can find this. Where was that? Let me see if I can find this, because this is important. Let's see, is it here? Okay, I'll come across it. But it deals with pandemic unemployment, something like that. There's something like that that was called. Hold on, let me see, where did I see that? Pandemic unemployment assistance. That's what it is. Okay, I'll come to that in just a minute. Pandemic unemployment assistance. That's new. That's in this bill also. All right. So now, what if you're self-employed? There's about 5.8 million people who are part of the gig economy. Almost 6 million people. They drive for Uber. They drive for Lyft. They drive for Uber Eats. Things like this. Okay, they're covered in this as well. Okay, so if you work part-time and had your hours cut, I talked about that. If you found a job, okay, we talked about that. Okay, self-employed and did not previously qualify for unemployment. Are you eligible now? The answer is yes. Okay, in general, the answer is yes. If you're self-employed and did not previously qualify for unemployment, are you eligible now? This bill creates a new program called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. Pandemic Unemployment Assistance that extends benefits to gig workers, contractors, and others who would not otherwise qualify for unemployment compensation but cannot work due to the coronavirus emergency. You'll get the $600 per week plus half the average unemployment benefit in your state. You'll get the $600 per week plus half the average unemployment benefit in your state. Okay, so what you want to do is apply as soon as possible. Okay, for unemployment, apply as soon as possible. Now, what if $600 a week is more than you made before losing your job? Will they cut your benefit? Okay, the answer is no. If you qualify for unemployment, the $600 per week applies regardless of what your salary was. There was a last minute, so if you saw some of my previous broadcasts, I talked about this. You had some Republican senators like Senator Tim Scott, Republican from South Carolina, Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican, South Carolina, Senator Ben Sasse, Republican, Nebraska, and there's one other idiotic Republican senator. They were trying to get the language in the bill changed because they said they were afraid that if people made more money, they didn't want people to make more money on unemployment than they made actually working. Okay? They're complaining about people getting an extra $600 a week. And they're saying they don't want people to make more on unemployment than they were actually working. Okay? Maybe you should vote to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Because Democrats in the House of Representatives in July 2019, they passed a bill in the House to raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25 an hour, where it's been since 2009, to $15 an hour. Okay, and it will increase each year up to the year 2025, when it goes to $15 an hour. Well, that bill stuck in the House of Representatives. That bill is stuck in the U.S. Senate. It's blocked by Republicans in the Senate. So maybe they should pick that bill up next. Well, they don't come back till about April 10th. The Senate is on recess till about April 10th. But when they come back, maybe they should pick that bill up. If you're so concerned about you don't want people to make more money on unemployment than they were making a job, but maybe you should pass that bill then. Are unemployment benefits taxable income? Yes, they are. I talked about that. Now, what if I'm sick or caring for a sick family member? Will this help me? Will you get unemployment? You should be eligible for assistance once you certify that you're ordinarily able and willing to work, but can't because of the virus emergency. That includes if you've tested positive or exhibit symptoms of COVID-19, or if you're caring for a member of your household or family who has been diagnosed with the illness. You should also be covered if you're out of work due to an inability to reach the office due to a quarantine imposed as a direct result of the coronavirus crisis. All right. Now, what happens when your state runs out of unemployment benefits? Okay, what happens when your state runs out of? Because it's a record number of people that applied just the week of March 16th, 3.3 million. This coming week is going to be probably another record number of people applying also. In most states, people who lose their job can typically get up to 26 weeks of unemployment, and then it stops. Even if you have not found a new job, it stops after 26 weeks. This bill, the $2.2 trillion bill, will provide another 13 weeks once it runs out. After those 39 weeks, if an extended benefits program is triggered, that can provide an additional 13 to 20 weeks of compensation. Okay, so more information is going to come out about this, more details. As more details come out, I'll give you an update. So how long do you have to be out of work to start getting benefits? How long do you have to be out of work to start getting benefits? Some states require a 1 week waiting period for people who become unemployed before they start collecting benefits. Under this $2.2 trillion bill, Washington will pick up the full cost for states that want to provide those benefits immediately instead of waiting 1 week. But ultimately, it's up to your state. Is up to your state to decide whether to provide benefits during that first week. Okay, so it's up to your state. You have to check. Probably at your state's website when you file for unemployment insurance, it'll probably have the information there. Now, here's a question that I got, and this may apply to some people. What if you, for whatever reason, what if you might have lied to claim benefits? Okay, what happens then? What if you might have lied to claim benefits? Well, that's a federal offense, one, okay? If you knowingly misrepresented your situation, you could be cut off from receiving any future pandemic unemployment compensation and face a fine and jail time, okay? So that is a federal offense. Let's look at Federal Criminal Code. That's 18 U.S.C. Code 1001. Statements or entries generally. Okay. We look at Cornell Law School's website, law.cornell.edu. Look at Federal Criminal Code 18 U.S.C. Code 1001. Statements or entries generally. Section A. Except as otherwise provided in this section, whoever in any matter within the jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government of the United States knowingly and willfully, 1, falsifies, conceals, or covers up any trick, scheme, or device, a material fact, 2, makes any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation, or 3, makes or uses any false writing or document, knowing the same to contain any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or entry. They shall be fined under this title imprisoned not more than 5 years. They shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 5 years, or if the offense involves intentional or domestic terrorism, as defined in Section 2331 of the U.S. Federal Code, imprisoned not more than 8 years, or both. If the matter relates to an offense under Chapter 109A, 109B, Chapter 110 or 117 or Section 1591, then the term of imprisonment imposed under this section shall be not more than 8 years. Okay? You can read the rest of this. They have a section B and C. Subsection A does not apply to a party to a judicial proceeding, or that parties counsel for statements, representations, writings, or documents submitted, but such a party or counsel to a judge or magistrate in that process. And you can read the rest of this. I'll give you the link here. Okay, this is Federal Code 18 U.S.C. Code 1001. This deals with that's a federal offense, lying like that. You know, so you want to be careful. Let's post this link here. All right. So we'll post that link there. You can check that out. Okay, so that deals with unemployment benefits. All right, and coronavirus, and then also something that's new that was created that's in this bill is unemployment pandemic assistance, pandemic unemployment assistance. All right, so check out the article from NBCnews.com. Coronavirus unemployment benefits. Here's who qualifies and how much they get. Okay, let's see here. How's everybody doing? If you have any questions, go ahead and post them. Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. We have Sam W, Erie Blackfire. How you doing? TT Hill. Let me see. What if you previously had unemployment and you've been employed less than 90 days and the company is talking about layoffs with a person? Okay, once you're laid off, then you'll be eligible. I think once you're laid off, then you'll be eligible. If they're just talking about it right now and you're still working, I don't think you'll be eligible. But once you're laid off, if you were receiving unemployment before, but once you're laid off, you'll be eligible again. TT Hill. Let's see. Okay, Jamari Mack. Okay, how you doing? I posted information about that, Jamari. So the past due child support, if it's past due, then they might not qualify, or part of the check may be taken. But the information I posted did not address the situation of if they have payments set up and they are making child support payments, but there's still a past due amount. That's a different situation. And the information that I posted, because NBCnews.com has an article about that, and they Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, who helped write the bill, talked about that, but that scenario was not addressed. So that is different than somebody who's just past due and not making payments. Okay, let's see here. Right, African American business owners, post name your business here on the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network now. Email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Our current promotion is buy 1 month, get 1 month, get 2 months free. Buy 1 month, get 2 months free. And those businesses that have been hit by coronavirus, things like that, we'll work with you also. The book Black Heroes of Fire tells the story of Engine Number 21. Now, Engine Number 21 was Chicago's first organized paid African American firefighting company. A lot of people are looking for something to read while they are at home, right? Black Heroes of Fire is a great book by DeKalb Walcott Jr. It tells the history of the first African American firefighting company in Chicago. It's available right now at Amazon.com and also at the website BlackHeroesOfFire.com. BlackHeroesOfFire.com. The book Black Heroes of Fire introduces and describes the background of the members of Engine Number 21, which was Chicago's first organized paid African American firefighting company. All right, so a lot of people are looking for products, they're looking for health and beauty products, things like this. SageandElmApothecary.com can help you with your health and beauty needs. They have over 60 different handcrafted soaps, natural toothpaste, hydrating oils, deodorants, face masks, shampoos, conditioners, and much more. Sage and Elm Apothecary creates unique products, especially with you in mind. They use simple ingredients such as whole fruits, herbs, and vegetables. Each product crafted offers a unique plant-based experience. Visit their website, sageandelmapothecary.com. You can order their products there. Also find out about their pop-up shops and vending events throughout the year. They have a special promo for those that are part of the African History Network. Use promo code AHNSPRING20, AHNSPRING20, and get 20% off your next order. Now, some people may not be flying. I mean, you may have a few people that are flying. They're cheap flights right now. But a lot of people who may have to go out of town for business or things like this are driving, right? But however you travel, you want to carry your culture with you when you travel. And BlackLionLeather.com can help you with this. Now, BlackLionLeather.com is a unique travel accessory brand. They manufacture and sell online to the culturally inspired African American traveler. They are 100% black owned and operated. Their tagline is carry your culture, carry your culture. When you go to their website, you'll see all types of beautifully crafted leather travel accessories. Visit their website, blacklionleather.com, blacklionleather.com to purchase your leather accessories, and let them know you found out about this from the African History Network. All right, so let's continue here. Let's see. Okay, I'm skipping over things that are repetitive. I want to get to some things that I did not already get to. Okay. Just give me a minute here. That thing dealing with sole proprietors, with business loans, that's something I'm really going to look at. Okay, if my payment doesn't come now, okay, so if your payment doesn't come soon, how can you make sure that your payment was not misdirected? Okay, especially, say for instance, you live in an apartment building. And I know I live in an apartment building, and I know sometimes I get other people's mail, sometimes they get my mail, what have you. Okay, according to the bill, the $2.2 trillion bill, you will get a paper notice in the mail no later than a few weeks after your payment has been disbursed. Okay, you'll get a paper notice in the mail no later than a few weeks after your payment has been disbursed. The notice will contain information about where the payment ended up and in what form it was made. If you could not locate the payment at that point, it would be time to contact the IRS using the information on the notice. All right, and you may look at irs.gov. They probably have information there. You can go to irs.gov/coronavirus. irs.gov/coronavirus, and they're going to have updated information there soon. Okay, so hopefully. So this is another reason why you want to check and make sure they have the correct address for you. If you stay in an apartment, make sure they have your apartment number as well. Okay, and once again, those forms for, I gave you the information for the form, change of address form is form number 8822 at irs.gov, change of address form. And it could take, if you moved or something like that, it normally takes 4 to 6 weeks to process a change of address form. Okay, now what if you have not filed taxes recently? What if you have not filed taxes recently? Will that affect your ability to receive a payment? Okay, it could. File a return immediately, at least for 2018, for the year 2018, what you made in 2018, according to the IRS site, irs.gov. It says, quote, those without 2018 tax filings on record could potentially affect mailings of stimulus checks, end quote. Okay, the site says those without 2018 tax filings on record, okay, because people may not have filed for 2019, what they made in 2019 that you filed this year, and the deadline has been extended to July 15th. So you want to at least file for 2018. If you're worried about money that you owe that you cannot pay, the IRS recommends consulting a tax professional who can help you request an alternative payment plan or some other resolution. All right. Now, okay, so we talked about Social Security. Those receiving Social Security, they qualify also. Will eligible unemployed people get the stimulus payments? Veterans, yes, they will. U.S. citizens living abroad. If you're a U.S. citizen living abroad, just like with this whole thing in Trump shutting down people coming back in from the European Union, etc., European Union and traveling from other countries and coming here, you got 50,000 people. There was an article from the Washington Post, New York Times, talked about how there's 50,000 Americans that are in these countries where there's a travel ban now. Okay? And a lot of them are trying to figure out how to get home. U.S. citizens living abroad, yes, they will get a check as long as they meet the income requirements and have a Social Security number. Okay? Garnishments. If your income tax refunds are currently being garnished because of a student loan default, will this payment, the stimulus check, also be garnished? The answer is no. In fact, the bill temporarily suspends nearly all efforts to garnish tax refunds to repay debts, including those to the IRS itself. But this waiver may not apply to people who are behind on child support, okay? Meaning you're not paying child support, not necessarily meaning that you have payments, not necessarily meaning that you are behind, but you have payments set up and you're making payments, okay? So if your tax refunds are currently being garnished because of a student loan debt or something like that, you'll still get the check. Okay, so we talked about unemployment benefits. I'm just trying to look at things that I didn't already cover. Okay, so when we talked about unemployment and how much you receive, in addition to the $600 a week, how much will you receive per state? It depends upon the state. Benefits will be expanded in an attempt to replace the average worker's paycheck, explained Andrew Stetner, a senior fellow at the Century Foundation, which is a public policy research group. Now, the average U.S. worker earns about $1,000 a week, and unemployment benefits often replace roughly 40 to 45% of what they make weekly. The expansion will pay an extra amount to fill the gap. So under the plan, eligible workers will get an extra $600 per week. Under the plan, eligible workers will get an extra $600 per week. And everybody stand by here. Okay, so under the plan, eligible workers will get an extra $600 per week. On top of their state benefit. Okay, $600 coming from the federal government on top of this state benefit. Now, but some states are more generous than others. Some states are more generous than others, according to the Century Foundation. The maximum weekly benefit in Alabama is $275 a week, but it's $450 a week in California and $713 a week in New Jersey. Okay? So it depends upon your state. So, for example, if you have a worker who's making $1,100 a week in the state of New York, this person will be eligible for the maximum state unemployment benefit of $504 per week. Under the new expansion, this worker gets an additional $600 a week of federal pandemic unemployment compensation for a total of $1,104, essentially replacing their original paycheck. States have the option of providing the entire amount in one payment or sending the extra portion separately. But it must all be done on the same weekly basis. So you may get one check or one deposit, or you may get two checks. Okay, for that $600, it may come all in one check with the state, what you get from the state, or it may come separately, state and federal. All right. So if you have questions, go ahead and post them here. How's everybody doing? Also, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, $, the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show, and at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Just click on the yellow donate button on the homepage of the website. It helps us keep doing the research and finance our Sunday night show, etc. All right. And then you can hit the thumbs up button if you like this type of information. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, right here on YouTube. And then also on my Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. And turn on notifications so you know when we go live, and share this broadcast also. All right, so as I said before, gig workers, there's 5.8 million gig workers, 5.8 million, almost 6 million gig workers, the Ubers and the Lyfts and things like this. They're covered in this bill as well, okay? Gig workers, freelancers, and independent contractors are covered. Yes, self-employed people are newly eligible for unemployment benefits under this bill. Benefits amounts will be calculated based on previous income using a formula from the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program, according to a congressional aide. Self-employed workers will also be eligible for the additional $600 weekly benefit provided by the federal government. Okay, now what if your child's school or daycare shut down? Because there are a lot of governors, like Governor Gretchen Whitmer here in the state of Michigan, shut down all K through 12 schools, okay, till April 13th. It may be extended. I know that the governor of the state of Kansas closed schools throughout the rest of the school year, K through 12 schools. What if your child's school or daycare shut down? If you rely on a school, a daycare, or another facility to care for a child, elderly parent, or another household member so that you can work, and that facility has been shut down because of coronavirus, you are eligible for unemployment. Okay, you're eligible for unemployment insurance. What about people who've been advised by a healthcare provider to quarantine themselves because of exposure to coronavirus? And what about broader orders to stay at home? People who must self-quarantine are covered for unemployment. The legislation also says that individuals who are unable to get to work because of a quarantine imposed as a result of the outbreak are eligible. All right? Now, Cynthia asks, hold on, I'll come to your question in just a minute, Cynthia, okay? If you had to quit your job as a direct result of coronavirus, will you be eligible for benefits? If you had to quit your job as a direct result of coronavirus, will you be eligible for benefits? Okay, that depends. Let's say, for instance, your employer did not lay you off, but you had to quit because of a quarantine recommended by a healthcare provider, or because your child's daycare closed and you're the primary caregiver. Situations like that are covered. But this provision was intended to cover people. This provision was not intended to cover people who quit or who want to quit because they fear that continuing to work puts them at risk of contracting coronavirus, according to congressional aides. And like I said, the number of times, more details are coming out. This bill is almost 900 pages. Okay, so this coming week, more details are coming out on this. So as we get more clarifications on certain things, I'll let you know. Who does this bill leave out? Who does this bill leave out? Workers who are able to work from home and those receiving paid sick leave or paid family leave are not covered. Okay? So the first coronavirus bill was for 8.3 billion. The second bill was for 100 billion. That second bill paid up to 2 weeks of paid sick leave. Okay? If you're already getting that, the paid sick leave, you can't get unemployment and paid sick leave at the same time. So workers who are able to work from home and those receiving paid sick leave or paid family leave are not covered. New entrants to the workforce who cannot find jobs are also ineligible. Let's see here. Okay. So if you're already receiving unemployment, I think somebody asked this question. If you're already receiving unemployment benefits, will this bill help you? The answer is yes. If you're already receiving unemployment benefits for reasons unrelated to the coronavirus, your state level benefits will still be extended by 13 weeks. You will also receive the extra $600 weekly benefit from the federal government. Okay? Now, if your unemployment recently ran out, if you were on unemployment and it recently ran out, can you sign up again? The answer is yes. If you have exhausted your unemployment benefits, eligible workers can generally reapply. But how much you get and for how long depends on the state where you work, or state where you live, state where you work. Well, specifically the state where you work. I guess it would be the state where you work. Because you may live in one state and work in another state. You may live, say, in Ohio, near the Ohio-Michigan border, and you may work in Michigan. Or Toledo, Ohio is about 45 minutes away from Detroit. So for whatever reason, I don't know that you would work in Toledo, live in Detroit, but what have you. You may cross border lines. So this would be based upon apparently the state that you work in. Okay. How much you get and for how long depends on the state where you work. Everyone gets at least another 13 weeks along with the extra $600 payment. Will this income disqualify me for any other programs? Will this unemployment payments disqualify you for any other programs? It's possible it will. The additional $600 benefit counts as income when determining eligibility. This additional $600 benefit counts as income when determining eligibility for means-tested programs, except for Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program known as CHIP, except for those. Except for Medicaid and CHIP, Children's Health Insurance Program. Okay, student loans. I got a couple questions about student loans. So the federal government has already waived 2 months of student loan payments. Let's see here. Okay, and go ahead and post your questions if you have any more questions here. So student loans, the federal government has already waived 2 months of payments and interest for many federal student loan borrowers. Is there a bigger break now with the new bill? Okay, the answer is yes. Until September 13th, there will be automatic payment suspensions for any student loan held by the federal government. Until September 13th, 2020, there will be automatic payment suspensions for any student loan held by the federal government. It is hard to contact many of the loan servicers right now, so check your account online in the coming weeks. Once you are logged in, look for the current amount due. Once you are logged in, look for the current amount due. There should be there you should be able to see if the servicer has reset its billing systems so that you are showing no payment due. Okay, so how do you know if your loan is eligible? How do you know if your student loan is eligible? If you borrowed money from the federal government, a so-called direct loan in the past 10 years, you're definitely eligible. According to the Institute for College Access and Success, 90% of loans in dollar terms will be eligible. Older federal family education loans, FFEL, federal family education loans, that the U.S. Department of Education does not own are not eligible, nor are Perkins loans. Loans from state agencies or loans from private lenders like Discover, Sallie Mae, and Wells Fargo. The holders of all those kinds of loans may be offering their own assistance programs. Within a few weeks, you are supposed to receive notice indicating what has happened with your federal loans. You can choose to keep paying down your principal if you want. Then, after August 1st, you should get multiple notices letting you know about the cessation of the suspension period, and that you may be eligible to enroll in an income-driven repayment plan. Okay, and then interest on the loan. The bill says that interest shall not accrue on the loan during the suspension period. And then wage garnishments, I talked about this. Wage garnishments that resulted from being behind on student loan payments, are they suspended during the 6-month period of time? The answer is yes. So it's the seizure. So it's and also the seizure of tax refunds because of defaulting on student loans, being behind on student loans. That is suspended also for 6 months. The reduction of any other federal benefit payments and other involuntary collections. So is wage garnishment that resulted from being behind on student loan payments during this 6 month behind on student loan payments suspended during the 6-month period? The answer is yes. And also the seizure of tax refunds, the reduction of any other federal benefit payments and other involuntary collection efforts. All right. And then also those with 401ks. You can still borrow from your 401k or other workplace retirement plan. and you can take out twice the usual amount as well with this bill. For 180 days after the bill passes with certification that you've been affected by the pandemic, you'll be able to take out a loan of up to $100,000. That's from your 401k plan. Usually you can't take out more than half your balance, but that rule is suspended. If you already have a loan and were supposed to finish repaying it before December 31st, you get an extra year. Okay, so they have a lot of things in here for a lot of people. A lot of people have 401k plans and want to tap into that. They have a 401k through their employer. They want to tap into that. This bill allows you to you can take out twice the usual amount. Okay, for 180 days after the bill passes with certification that you've been affected by the pandemic, you'll be able to take out a loan of up to $100,000 from your 401k plan. Usually you can't take out more than half your balance, but that rule has been suspended. Okay, so what if you have an IRA, individual retirement account? What if you have to take out money out of your IRA or workplace retirement plan? You can withdraw up to $100,000 this year. You can withdraw up to $100,000 this year without the usual 10% penalty, as long as it's because of the coronavirus outbreak. You will also be able to spread out any income taxes that you owe over 3 years from the date you took the distribution. And if you want, you could put the money back into the account before those 3 years are up, even though the rules may normally keep you from making a contribution that large. Now, this exception applies only to coronavirus related withdrawals. This exception with your IRA account, with IRAs, this exception applies only to coronavirus related withdrawals. You qualify if you tested positive, if a spouse or dependent if your spouse or dependent tested positive, or you experienced a variety of other negative economic consequences related to the coronavirus pandemic. Employers can allow workers to self-certify that they are qualified to pull money from a workplace retirement account. All right. Okay, now what about damage to your credit report during this period of time? Will there be damage to your credit report if you take advantage of any of the coronavirus related payment relief, including the student loan suspension? Okay, the answer is no. There's not supposed to be any damage to your credit report. The bill states that during the period beginning January 31st, 2020 and continuing for 120 days after the cessation of the National Emergency Declaration, lenders and others should mark your credit file as current, even if you avail yourself of payment modifications. Okay, is there any relief for renters in the bill? Is there any relief for renters in the bill? The answer is yes. Okay, the bill puts a temporary nationwide eviction moratorium in place for any renters whose landlords have mortgages backed or owned by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and other federal entities. This will last for 120 days after the bill passes. And landlords also can't charge any fees or penalties for non-payment of rent. Okay, So check that. You're going to hear more about this as it's come out. Now, you've had some governors, like Governor Gretchen Whitmer here in the state of Michigan, and other governors who have suspended evictions, things like that, during this period of time for the next 3 months or so, whatever it is, however long they do it. Does the bill change any rules for health savings accounts and health care flexible spending accounts? Does this $2.2 trillion bill change any rules for health savings accounts and health care flexible spending accounts? The answer is yes. Menstrual products are now eligible for reimbursement after at least 15 years of lobbying and debate. Did the legislation make it illegal for any internet provider to cut off service to an individual or small business that can't pay its bills? The answer is no. Now, I have seen articles that talked about how some internet service providers like Comcast have said they're not going to cut off internet service during this period of time for people that may have certain packages. You may have to probably have to call them to find out information about this. But the bill does not make it illegal for internet service providers to do that, to cut off service. Did the legislation make it illegal for utility providers to cut off service? The answer is no. Now, some states, just like here in the state of Michigan, actually Saturday night, Governor Gretchen Whitmer issued an executive order for the water department to restore the service, water service of people's whose water has been cut off. Okay, so the different governors are issuing executive orders not to turn off people's utilities, etc. But that's at the state level. That's coming from that's at the state level. All right. Okay, so check this out. Also from New York Times. Frequently asked questions, FAQ on stimulus checks, unemployment, and the coronavirus plan. All right, so hopefully this information helped you all out. I'll be back with more updates. Listen to the African History Network show Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF. And the next few weeks, we'll be doing the show from this studio. We'll still be on 9:10 a.m., but I'll be broadcasting from this studio. And follow me on my Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. My personal page, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. You can visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. My DVD lectures are there. We have bundle packs like the Black Migration 1619 to 2019 bundle pack. The online course that I teach that's on demand is there also. It's like a 16-hour online course. It's broken up into 8 or 9 sessions. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. That's available there. That's regularly $130. That's on sale $80. Okay. And then also you can donate to the African History Network, $the AHN Show through Cash App, $the AHN Show through Cash App, and then also paypal.me/the AHN Show. All right, so look, hey, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now it's correct wrong behavior, what you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace. Win Wakanda forever.